Colada design that's got a Pina Colada in a drink and a really fancy like cocktail glass with a little umbrella and some pineapple and a coconut. I love the coconut, so easy to do, so definitely watch for how I did that, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! We are going to start out this nail with a really pretty background color that is this glittery teal color that I've had in my collection for so long. It's a really old color from Koopa before they created the triptych powders, which I don't know, was probably 5 years ago. And so it's one that I've just had for a really long time, and I forget about it because it's a tiny jar and it just gets shoved to the back. But I remembered it for this video, and I'm so glad I did because it is so pretty, this really rich glittery teal color. So I'm going to apply a layer of that and then encapsulate it with a layer of clear acrylic. Once that's done, I'm going to file this whole thing into shape to smooth it all out and make sure it looks nice and just, you know, finished and perfected. And then once that's been filed, we can set that to the side and start making all of our little Pina Colada pieces. So I'm going to begin with the glass that it's in, and I'm going to sculpt a cylinder on a straw that's going to be about the height that we want the glass to be. So you're going to just sculpt a nice thin layer of clear acrylic as a base. Once that's done, you can go through and you can start fanning out the lip of the glass. This is not going to be perfect. It's going to be really thick at the lip. Don't worry about any of that because we're going to file it and we're going to perfect it later. So just as long as you get the general outside shape of the glass okay, don't worry about the way the inside looks. So we've got that started, and then you're going to leave it kind of dipped in, and you're going to add a bulbous area right around the tip of the straw. So we're going to be adding that. So it's kind of, it flares out and then it goes in and then it goes out and it goes in. That's the idea of this glass. And Pina Coladas are served in a variety of glass shapes. So if there's one you like better than this one, or one that you feel like would be easier for you to sculpt, depending on whatever, you know, whatever challenges you foresee, you can go ahead and switch it up because there's, like I said, a lot of different glasses. I've seen them just sculpt or served in a regular straight up and down cylinder type glass, which would also work. We're going to sculpt a bottom for this glass on our nail form backing with more of that clear acrylic. Set the glass right on top of it to secure the bottom to the glass. And then next to it, we're going to be sculpting the stem. If you aren't making a stemmed glass, you could just skip this part altogether. So we're going to be making the stem, and to make it a little bit more just decorative, I'm going to make a little circular part on the stem as well as the foot of the glass. So that's going to be a circle next to it. And then going back to the stem, add just a little bit of a extra detail if we want this to be super fun and girly and over the top. Now that we have that done, we're going to glue the stem to the bottom of the glass. And if you're looking at this, it doesn't look very smooth and perfected. The glass doesn't taper down to the stem. We will fix that momentarily. So we have that done. It's glued in place. Grab a lot more clear acrylic and start filling it in. So you're going to add beads of clear acrylic, and you're just going to fill that in so that it does taper down and smooth into the shape of the stem. And there isn't that sort of awkward transition from one spot to the next. As you see, it doesn't have that complete clarity where the glass looks completely clear all the way down into the bottom of it. I think that's okay. There's no way that I could come up with to make it so that the glass was done in one continuous piece, as far as without making a mold or something, and have it look like it should. So this is a wonderful way to do it. Even though it's not absolutely perfect, we aren't actually blowing glass. So you have to, you know, work within your capabilities. So we're going to be adding that little bit more of a bulbous area, add another layer to it. And once you have it where the stem is fairly well rounded off and you're happy with it, you can add the base or the foot of the glass to the end. So I'm going to place a bead of acrylic on the very end of the stem, grab the foot, set it down, and hold it in place. Once the acrylic grabs it, you can let go, and then you can add a little bit more acrylic just to smooth everything out and secure it all together so it's not going to be too fragile. Once you're done with that and it has cured completely, don't rush the process. Then you're going to take a narrow e-file bit and you're going to start carving out the interior of the glass where the glass flares out, because it's going to be much thicker than it needs to be. Then you can also use that e-file to do any sort of carving and adjustment to the outside of the glass. This is an optional phase. If your glass looks beautiful on the outside and carving with an e-file isn't your strong suit, skip it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be good. Otherwise, if you're somebody that really likes to do some carving and you are proficient with an e-file, go ahead and carve to your heart's desire. Just make sure you don't overdo it where any part gets too thin. You just want to keep it thick enough where it's going to be durable. But once you're happy with the generalized shape of your glass, you can put your e-file down and we can start making some other pieces. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a coconut half. So around a little squeezer top, this is a sample skincare product that I got that has an eyedropper on it. We're going to be sculpting a fairly thick dome of white acrylic. Don't make it too thin, like I said, a fairly thick dome. If you look at coconut meat, it isn't just this thin little layer, at least you hope it's not after you spend however long trying to crack into a coconut. You want to make sure there's at least a little bit of meat inside. So after you sculpt your thick dome, then you're going to take brown acrylic and you're going to sculpt a thinner layer of brown over the top of the whole thing. Funny story, the last time I bought a coconut, I personally absolutely love coconut. The last time I bought one, I worked on trying to crack it open for probably a good half an hour, and then I handed it over to my husband and he tried to crack it open and he ended up getting this really deep cut on his hand because those things are so sharp. We're clearly not very experienced at this, but oh, it was so good. I love coconut. Anywho, after you have that all done, you can pop it off of your little eyedropper, and then with an e-file, you're going to want to carve the very end of it. And this is so slippery that as you're trying to carve this, be very careful not to have it slip and accidentally carve into your finger, but you're going to want to make the edge of your coconut not smooth. You're going to want to kind of carve little jabs into it with your e-file, if that makes sense, just so that it looks like it's been cracked open. Then apply a layer of gel top coat over the outside of your coconut, a thin layer, don't make it too thin where it might drip or anything. And then you're going to press some brown flocking powder. Yes, flocking powder. It's been a long time, my old friend. We're going to be flocking the outside of this to give it that fuzzy kind of coconut husk shape or texture, and then using a dotting tool, spread, before it's cured, spread the flocking powder away from 3 spots to create those little soft points on the exterior of your coconut. Once you're done with that, we can set that coconut into the lamp to cure, and then we can start sculpting our pineapples. Using a 2-tone shade of yellow acrylic, a brighter color, and the pastel color, we're going to be sculpting our triangle wedges of pineapple. On one of your triangle wedges, you're going to want to carve in a little notch out of it for where it's going to hang onto the glass. I sculpted 3 little pineapple slices in total. Then you're going to take a mixed bead of acrylic that is green and brown, and you're going to add a layer of that on the darker side of your pineapple. Use a dotting tool to sort of mess it around so it doesn't look all smooth. I have a prickly exterior. And then using the brown and or green, add a little bit veining coming down into the coconut or into the pineapple. And then for the one that has that little notch out of it, you can see it there. This one is going to be viewed from both the front and the back. So you're going to want to flip it over and add a little bit of that 2-toned yellow to the back side. So it's not just that smooth shininess. Add a little bit more of your green and brown mix to it. You don't have to do this to the other 2, just the one that's going to be a decoration on your glass. Again with the dotting tool, and then a little bit of that veining coming down with the brown. And then after you're done with all of that and your coconut and your pineapples and your glass are all ready, we have just a couple things left to make. We're going to be making a cherry to go into our Pina Colada. The one thing that's kind of fun with these glasses is that there's so many different things that you could do or you wouldn't have to do. I have seen when I was doing, research for this design, I saw some images where a Pina Colada had a piece of sugar cane stuck in it or a bamboo straw. So many different fun elements that you could play around with and do something different if you would like to. Then we have our little cherry done. We're going to be making a little cocktail umbrella with a bright orange color. So make it almost look like a Pac-Man. And then after it has started to cure just a little bit where you can pick it up, slide your brush underneath it and then fold it so that the mouth of the Pac-Man is closed. And it's going to give you that kind of cone-shaped umbrella. Secure that place where it's stuck together so it's not going to pop open on you. And now we can have so much fun of putting everything together. I'm going to start by placing my glass onto the nail, making sure it's nice and stuck. I put it about in the middle, right in that upper third area of the nail. It is the prominent feature of this design and we want to make sure that it really shows up. Then I'm going to grab my other pieces that are going to be not in the cup as far as like the garnishes go, but on the nail. I'm going to place down my coconut with some clear acrylic, making sure that those 3 little places that we carved away with the flocking powder are kind of up so that they show. I'm going to secure it with a little more clear acrylic underneath the edges, and then I'm going to grab my pineapples. I'm going to attach the first one down next to our pineapple or next to the coconut, and then I'm going to grab the second one and attach it so it's leaning up against the first one. Give the nail a little bit more texture. And then after those are both done and well attached, then you can start going through and you can fill in your cup. So before we get to that point where we fill in the cup, I'm going to just tell you what I grabbed for colors. I have a sparkly semi-sheer white and I have a pastel yellow glitter mix. So what I did is I grabbed a bead of the shimmery white and then I dipped it into the pastel glitter mix. And that's going to give you sort of a white and yellow glittery swirl going up in your glass. So as you're adding the layers to it, it's just going to add this nice little like, I don't know, frozen drink swirl. I'm going to stick a piece of wire into that. That's going to be the base of the umbrella, place in my pineapple and my cherry into the glass. That wet Pina Colada acrylic is going to grab all of those little bits that we just added in, and then you can attach your umbrella to the end of your piece of wire. And then at this point, if you didn't want to do any other detailing, you could certainly just call it a day. Obviously, if you want to add a little bit more, there's always room for a couple extra details. I'm going to make sure that everything is completely attached before I do move on. But I just want to mention it, that if you're at this point and you're like, wow, this thing looks amazing and you want to be done with it, call it a day. I am, however, like I said, always going to be adding a couple more details. I can't help myself. I'm going to be patterning the umbrella with some blue acrylic paint and adding a little bit of a hibiscus flower pattern across it. It is so small that you almost can't even tell what it is, but I do like the combination of the orange and the blue colors together. They really do contrast and make that umbrella look extra tropical and bright and sunny. And oh man, this design just makes me feel like I want to be laying on a beach in Mexico. Anybody else just want to be hauled out somewhere without cell phones and people bothering you and just relax for, I don't know, 3 months? Does that sound about like the right time frame for anybody else? I think so. 3 months, that would be good. And then after we have our little umbrella done, we're going to be adding a little bit of just a lighter yellow streaking on the pineapples. That's completely optional. And then the last thing is just a few little highlights on the glass. Really not much required for this. Then I'm going to be applying some gel sealer over that glittery base of the nail and over the glass. We want to make sure that that glass looks nice and clear, and making sure it's got that shiny gel sealer over the top of it is the perfect thing for the job. And once you have all of that applied, you're going to want to put that into your lamp to cure. And then after that's done, you can kind of decide what you want to do as far as top coat goes on the rest. I would apply some gel, some 3D glaze over things like the pineapple. You want that to look a little bit wet, and then matte top coat over anything that you don't want it to look slightly wet. But that's it. I hope you guys love this design as much as I do. Like I said, it makes me feel warm and summery and tropical, and like I should be laying on a beach somewhere in the world. And if you guys do get to lay on the beach somewhere, take me with you. Please just take me with you. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Bye!